you have faith in LeBron James if it goes to a Game 7 or him being able to win one game on the road. That said, if I just sit back and look at this objectively, and I'm not taking into consideration my pick, I have to say Boston still has control of this series. They're the ones with the home court advantage. They are undefeated at home. Just like their role players and their players in general don't play well on the road, Cleveland's have struggled on the road as well. And the big things in games 3 and 4 for Cleveland, as much as LeBron played great and other guys stepped up offensively, it was the defense. Yes. It was LeBron playing better defense, and it was, heck, Kyle Korver looked like he was all NBA defense last night.
He was diving on the floor like high school coach.
Exactly, yeah.
Get on the
blocking
floor.
Shots.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, he blocking Jaylen Brown's an athletic young player.
Shot.
Yeah, it was incredible. Will they do that on the road? They haven't in games 1 and 2. They've been bad defensively on the road. And if the role players offensively don't bring it, of course, that means LeBron has to do more offensively, which will probably take away from his energy on the defensive end.
Here's the thing about the role players. The role players were better in games 3 and 4. But in games 3 and 4, LeBron still had 0 teammates score 15 points. 0 teammates in either game get to even 15 points. Now, what you had is a handful of teammates contribute 7 here, 9 here, 11 there,
13.
Which was better than what you got in games 1 and 2. But the other reason that I feel the Cavs are now back in control of this series is we have seen some adjustments made by the much maligned Ty Lue that have not been countered by the much deified by myself primarily, Brad Stevens. Like, we saw Ty Lue go to Tristan Thompson, and Al Horford historically, for some reason, Horford dominates Joel Embiid, and then just gets bedeviled by Tristan Thompson. I thought last night they made Terry Rozier almost unplayable. They were hunting him down defensively, and I thought he got frustrated offensively and took some early shot clock threes, made some bad decisions on the offensive end. I don't know what Brad Stevens' counterpunch is going to be because I've seen Ty Lue's counterpunch, and it's been effective, at least as of last night.
Also, Larry Nance Jr., the energy that him and Tristan Thompson have brought. Tristan Thompson in the matchup with Al Horford. It speaks to Ty Lue making those adjustments. And you have to realize, as fans, as these series go on, all right, it starts to lean towards the better player. Because now you're talking about a series, LeBron James, forget the role players, versus the Boston Celtics, best 2 out of 3. That I give LeBron the edge to. And I thought that it changed in game number 2, where the Cavs had dominated the first half. Even though the Celtics came back and ended up winning that game, I thought the series changed there, even though they left that building down 2-0. They have dominated the next 8 quarters of basketball. I believe they figured out what Boston is going to do. So even with that home court advantage, they played 192 minutes in Cleveland. They've been down 122 of those minutes.
Yep.
Boston has.
Boston. That's hard to overcome. And I just believe the young players, they don't hit that switch going back to game number 5 in Boston.
And this is baffling why it's the case. You can point to their youth, but it's still strange. But we saw this in Milwaukee. They didn't play well on the road, and they lost all 3 on the road. And at home, we're completely different.
Kind of saw it in Philly, too.
We saw it in Philly. They really should have lost those 2 games. They played well in the clutch. So, and I also think in game 4, the fact that they made a little run, they were down, 19 early, and they cut it to 9-6, I think, at one point. The fact that they did hang in there and get some things going, I just think is going to help them mentally when they go back home. They're already going to feel good about being at home. They're also going to feel like, okay, we played much better in game 4 than game 3.
This is what they need to answer to. How do they stay out of foul trouble? And when they go into the smaller lineup, where if you're going to have Al Horford at center, who's going to guard LeBron? And whoever has guarded LeBron has gotten himself into foul trouble. So those first 12 minutes and being able to avoid foul trouble, I believe, is huge for that young team.
What did they keep the Celtics from doing? Besides Al Horford, who's basically been non-existent the last 2 games, what have they really kept the Celtics from doing? Well,
that was huge right there. And then just the defensive energy, the intensity. Like we said, Kyle Korver is blocking shots.
Effort.
The Cavs just had a lot more effort. You saw Marcus. And look, Boston, again, baffling. They missed a lot of layups early. They missed dunks. Jaylen Brown misses a wide open dunk. Marcus Smart just loses the ball kind of by himself at one point. Like, some of it, I think the intensity of the Cavs defense got Boston maybe reacting a little faster than they wanted to, and that's why the mistakes came.
Your guy, Kobe, has now submarined 2 rookies in this playoff. He does a detail series on Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell all of a sudden tries to go Mamba system. He does it on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's all of a sudden going Mamba system.
On the cover
this is the so Jason Tatum, in all seriousness, though, was not good in these 2 games.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown was terrible in Game 3. LeBron shut him down. Terry Rozier struggled. And I'm going to go back to the coach, though. Because here's what's not fair. I don't mind getting out ahead of things. I don't mind looking at me and saying, calm down a bit when I say Brad Stevens best coach in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Odell Beckham, greatest hands ever.
I never said Beckham had the greatest hands ever. But I did say Brad Stevens is the best coach in the NBA. What I'm not okay with is when they play great, Stevens gets the credit. And when they play out of control, when they do the things that he gets credit for, out of timeout plays, end of quarter offense, when they butcher those things, for Stevens' hands to be clean on this. Like, in these 2 games in Cleveland, Ty Lue's been better. Ty Lue's made the adjustments. Like, it has to be a two-way street in that regard.
But here's why that is, because they don't have. They've got talent, obviously, but that talent is young. They don't have a roster that you would think would be at this point with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
So
of course, they got the best player in the world. And they got Kevin Love, who's a perennial all-star. I'm just saying, when you look at Boston's youth, the injuries, all that, you say, how in the world are they doing this? And you point to the coach. But when they struggle, it looks like, well, this is who they are. The players just aren't as good.
Real quick, before we move on, when we do the roster, though, because Kevin Love's been bad in this series. When we do the roster,
but he's still. You're right.
Sure, but if both teams are combined and we're just picking guys on court, LeBron goes 1. The next 4 picks are Celtics.
Kevin Love is the 5th pick?
With how he's played this postseason? Absolutely. I mean, you tell me. The next, if LeBron
he has not been good, but those guys from Boston have been up and down too. I mean, Horford's 4 shots in Game 3.
Okay,
if Love was doing that, we'd be saying, "Where's Kevin Love?"
How much weight do you place on momentum as far as looking for the next game, or does this go back to Boston and we see what we saw in Game 1?
Yeah. Well, no, like I said, I expect Cleveland to win. I'm just saying, I think if you step back, if you're Boston, you've got reasons to feel good. That's all I'm saying. Like, they shouldn't – I don't think the momentum's a big deal. I think that it's just going to come down to the players, how good LeBron is, and how much different Boston's players are in Game 5.
Typically, the Game 5 is a lot closer. Even though Games 3 and 4 sometimes can be lopsided, we see the huge momentum swing. You got one game. You're trying to defend home court, which Boston is trying to do. You don't see the huge jump that we saw. Cleveland getting energy, Boston energy being taken away from them, we saw when the series transferred to Cleveland.
Let me ask you this real quick before you go. I think Cleveland can lose Game 5 and still win the series. I do not think Boston can lose Game 5.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
He said it in a way that he wanted to respond. I agree with you. I mean, look, a Game 7 in Boston, LeBron has been there, done that in more pressurized situations because maybe his greatest game ever, right? Game 6,
in Boston,
down 3-2. Yeah. That was a better Boston team, and LeBron had not won a championship yet. So you talk about pressure. So I think he'd deliver.
Cris, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.